the other day, I was talking to one of our partners. We were just talking about, why people don't trust senior living, right? What is it about it? Because you and I have had this conversation. We've dabbled in this on other podcasts before, but we thought let's do a little research and put together an episode of number one, what is the data, right? What is the data when it comes to the public perception of really not just senior living communities, but the whole industry in terms of like home health care and hospice and the quote unquote nursing homes as most consumers look at it. What is it that is impacting that? And I think I've talked about this before offline, but you know senior living has never had a great perception, and then I think COVID really made it worse, and not because not because of like the 99.99% of communities out there. It's the 0.01% of communities that made the news when they weren't doing things the right way, or they whatever they did. um so I mean, what are some of your general observations when it comes to that, Luke?
I mean, my first thought is, for marketing and sales, trust is everything. I mean, you just think about, like, if you're thinking about if you're looking at a product, well, so I think a lot about flights and airlines. So, like Southwest, I mean, they lost a ton of trust with people earlier this year with all of their, they had tech issues, and there was the whole like baggage situation. And so they've had to go back and rebuild trust with everyone. But I mean, when I've had good experiences with a company, even if it's more expensive than another company, if I've built that trust with them, it's going to be much harder for me to go to a different company or different product. And we've all had that same experience. It's the same thing in senior living. If you can build trust with adult children and with seniors, then you'll see that you get more leads. You'll see that your conversion rates increase on your tours. I mean, trust really is everything.
Well, I think that that's interesting as far as the data from one of these reports that we saw that Leading Age did a couple years ago. Is I think a lot of consumers in the senior living space, they don't have any experience until it's their first time, right? And so when they polled, I don't know how many people they polled in these national surveys, but basically 45% have a positive view, 20% have a negative review, 4% have a very negative review, and 16% have a somewhat negative view. So there's 40% with a negative view, 45% with a positive view, and 35% that don't know. Right. So the basically it's 50-50, except for more than 1 out of 3 people that have no idea. And so when you're talking about trust and how to build trust, I think those numbers, and again, if you want to look this report up, we'll put it in the notes of the podcast, but it's from the Catholic Health Association, is the article. And then, Leading Age, I think, was the ones that did the research, but there's some really interesting numbers in here.
Yep. Well, and you think about, I mean, you've already mentioned COVID. I mean, COVID did nothing to help public perception of nursing homes, and the media, doesn't do a great job of always telling the wonderful things that happen in nursing homes. I mean, often it's when you hear about a senior living community, assisted living in the news, it's, hey, we uncovered some kind of example of abuse that was going on between a resident and a worker. Yep. And those are the kinds of things that you hear over and over again when, that compared to all of the wonderful things that a senior living community can do. I mean, you don't hear about all of those things, the overwhelming majority of the things that actually happen. You just hear about the few negative and awful examples. And so then the public just gets this perception of, well, maybe these kinds of things go on in every place. And so it's hard to get that trust.
I just had an idea here. I'm Googling this in real time, so forgive me, but I was just curious psychologically, when someone hears a bad story, how many good stories do they have to hear to overcome? And actually, I just found an article and it says there is a proven ratio here. Let's see. 5 to 1. So this study that it's it's called Train Your Brain to Think Positively by Rewiring It. So it says to impact the effect of negativity, the suggested ratio is 5 to 1. So for every negative encounter, there should be a minimum of 5 positive ones to counterbalance the effect of the negative. So using that example, Luke, I mean, if I see one negative news story, I've now got to see 5 positive things to outweigh it in my brain. That's fascinating to me, just from a psychological, because so much of marketing is psychology, right? Marketing and sales is really thick in psychology. And so this is that really is interesting to me. I never knew there was an actual ratio that psychologists suggest. So that tells me even more so how important it is for communities to have a proactive plan to counter that, right?
Yeah.
Because you also think about this, it's not just news stories, right? I mean, what about when if I am thinking about a place for my mom and dad to live, and my buddy at church says, well, hey, you definitely don't want to go to this community because they treated my mom so bad, we had to bring her back home, blah 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 blah, right? That one is now subconsciously and consciously off my list. They would have to do some tremendous work to get me back to considering them, probably like 15 to 1, because now it's not just something I saw in the news. Now it's been reinforced by someone I personally know. And that's where your service comes into play, right? I mean, you can't really address the testimonials and things like that if you know you've got actual customer service issues with your residents.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just I know we're just kind of discussing this because there's so many different angles when you're talking about this, because number one, I think you have to make sure that you are doing everything you can to provide the level of service that you sold to a family when they moved in, and knowing that sometimes things are just going to happen, right? You hire the wrong person as a caregiver, or CNA or whatever, and they have a bad experience, and what's your plan before that happens to handle that? So on the back end, what are you doing to make sure you provide the best service you can all the time? And then what's your plan for when your team does not, right? That I would make sure you have a plan for that. And then on our side of things, but the area that we focus on, right, is what's your plan for especially for those 35% of people that don't know, right? Because we've talked about this before. The industry as a whole has a negative trust issue as a whole, right?
Yeah.
And you found something in here, by the way, too. What was it you saw that they broke it down between the different types of care within senior living?
That may be somewhere in that article. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head, but so I mean, I'm thinking if you take a look at your website, and I would look at my website and think, if one of those, the 35% of people who aren't sure how to feel, if they look at my homepage and they scroll all the way to the bottom, am I providing them any reason to think differently, to think positively? So here's some examples of things that won't convince them to think positively. A drone video of your community that just shows empty rooms and the shingles on your roof. That's not going to convince anyone differently. Bullet points of your amenities. That's not going to convince anyone that they should trust you.
Well, I think what it comes down to is, if you're trying to get people to trust you, what's going to carry more weight? You saying, hey, Luke, I'm a really trustworthy guy, you should really trust me. Or if I give you examples of 5 people that say, Luke, dude, Dallas he's solid, right? What's going to have a better impact? And so, when we were doing this research for this as well, we also looked into, because so many people just have text testimonials. So you might scroll through the website, all this stuff you're talking about, and then you get to, hey, Senior Oaks in College Station, Texas that's a fake place, by the way. I'm not, was fantastic. They really helped us take care of mom. The service was fantastic. The food was great. Yada, yada, yada. Signed, anonymous.
Yeah. Does nothing for anyone.
And you mentioned it when we were talking about getting ready for this episode or this podcast with ChatGPT and other AI tools out there. I mean, it makes a written testimonial on a website completely worthless.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I could go to GPT right now and say, generate 50 authentic sounding reviews that I can put on a senior living website. And it probably would say something like, hey, we don't recommend that you actually post these or whatever. But I mean, we're just in this world of everything is AI generated. And so if I see that something is text, I just think it's more likely that it's going to be harder for people just to buy that, especially if it says anonymous. If you're putting a testimonial on your website that says anonymous, you might as well not even take the time to put it on there. So here's what we do know. We do know, according to studies, and we'll put these links in the show notes so you can take a look. We do know that people.
I just generated this on ChatGPT. Let me read you a few of these just for fun.
Go for it. Go for
it. Because these are things that we have all read on senior living communities. So it says, moving into this senior living community was the best decision I ever made. The caring staff, the beautiful the surroundings, and vibrant community have truly enhanced my quality of life. That's one. Another one. Living here has renewed my sense of purpose and a strong sense of belonging. The activities and opportunities for socialization have really made my days so much more enjoyable than staying at home by myself. Right? Like this all just got generated in a matter of seconds. So from the time you said that, I'm so grateful for this warm and welcoming atmosphere for our mom. The residents and staff create a sense of community that makes every day feel special for her. Right? Like this is why text is worthless, because the more and more that this gets out there and people understand that, even if you put, I'm grateful for the warm and welcoming atmosphere for my mom, blah, 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 dash Dallas S. Okay. Well, that could still be made up. Right. And it's not just that, but back to psychology. What was the numbers we found between text versus video?
Yeah. So that's what I was getting into, is like here's what we do know is that people retain 95% of what they see in a video. And when they see text, they only retain 12% of what they read. I mean, so that just proves video is incredibly powerful.
That's 8 times more effective.
Yeah.
12% versus 95%. That's 8 times more effective.
Right.
That's
and so
it's pretty
why
strong.
So why do we then see overwhelmingly senior living communities use text reviews rather than video testimonials?
Well, I think it's because it's the easier thing to do. Right. I mean, it's a lot easier to email or text message your whole list of clients and residents and their adult kids and say, hey, could you send me a quick testimonial about what your experience has been like here? What were you struggling with before you moved in? That kind of thing. And then it takes the responsibility off of you as well, which I get it. They're, like, guys, ladies, men, all of you, everyone listening, like, please hear me when I say this. We all have so much on our plates, right? But I think we have to take a hard look at ourselves and say, hey, is what I'm doing better and easier for me? Or is it better and more effective for the people I'm serving? And that data shows a text testimonial doesn't do anything for these people.
No.
So, providing them with video testimonials, I think, is a critical piece of your website content and your social media plan, everything, right? Like, and it doesn't have to be hard, right? I mean, you can use a tool like ours. Like, inside the Moving Machine, there's a video testimonial tool that makes this super easy, that you can send a link to people. They click it, it will have the button on there for them to record using their phone. And then you just You get it back. We add the captions to the video. You approve it. Boom. It's on your website and it's in your Google
Yep.
Drive folder. So you can use it on social media. You can use it on anywhere you want.
And I see a lot of communities, they'll create very high quality video testimonials. And I did that. I worked in-house for a senior living company, and I traveled to our communities to go take high quality videos. And those can be great. And I've seen a lot of fantastic videos. The concern I have for those is that, a lot of times I would see when that resident would move or when they would pass away, the family really oftentimes doesn't want you to use that video anymore. So then you've got to go back and reshoot and do more videos. And that's a lot of time and that's a lot of money. When, I mean, nowadays people trust those just organic vertical style videos, like think TikTok. The videos, when you see those, you're like, okay, I know that this is a real person and they're authentic, they're organic. Those are the kinds of videos that really relate and resonate with people. I mean, professional high quality video testimonials certainly have their place, but for most communities, I would say you'll get just as much effect from organic, authentic, vertical 15-second videos, if not more, than you would hiring someone to come out and shoot videos with lighting and these nice cameras and lapel microphones.
Well, and we've got some data on that, right? Some of our partners replace their old highly produced videos with these video testimonials, and they're getting 4 to 5 times as much engagement on those testimonials. So I would even argue, take the organic looking vertical videos and compile them into a nice longer video if you want, that you can put on YouTube, and you can kind of make it a featured type video, but it will still feel so much organic, and not that, oh yeah, they just set grandma down on the couch and gave her a script to read and she's reading it, So,
Yep.
yeah, no, I think the other thing too is not only is it faster and simpler, but it's way cheaper.
Yep.
Right. I mean, we talked about last week, it might have been 2 episodes ago, I don't know, but we talked about, spending money on gifts after a tour to help you increase your close ratio and your follow-up and all that. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, well, we don't have that in the budget. Start killing stuff like this and use that money for gifts, to move the needle on those, on your close ratio. So,
Yep.
yeah, I think that, again, we know that trust is an issue in the industry. We've got these reports that we were able to find that show actual data that, about 60% either have a negative view or they don't know. Right. About
Yep.
2/3 either don't know how they feel about the industry or they have a negative view. And by the way, they broke down the senior industry into 14 categories. They didn't put in this article what the 14 categories were, but it did say that the lowest scoring of all 14 areas of the aging industry was the communities.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's what you touched on. Like
Yep.
those are the ones that are in the news for, whatever negative stories that make the news, especially during COVID. And so it totally makes sense to me.
Yep.
So to combat that, again, the number one thing, there's the 2 things that I would say as a organization is, number one, first of all, make sure you are actually providing the level of care and the level of attention to your residents, right? And number 2, have a video plan in place that lets other people share that with your prospective residents, and not you having to share it.
Yep.
Right. And also, as you get more and more of these videos, putting them into your follow-up campaigns so that, hey, they scheduled a tour with us on Friday. On Thursday, let's send them this email with a link to this video and or a text message and say, hey, looking forward to visiting with you tomorrow, Sharon. I wanted to share this video just so you could kind of have an idea of how our residents feel about living here. You know, just, it's 30 seconds long, but I think it'll give you it'll make you feel good about the fact you're coming in, because the way they feel is the way we want to make you feel, those kind of things. And you can really reinforce that, because again, remember that 5-to-1 ratio. For every bad thing they've heard about the industry, it doesn't have to be you, right? It's guilt by association here psychologically. You've got to overcome that with 5 different testimonials, stories, experiences, whatever. 5. And if they've had 2, now you got 10.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So powerful stuff, though. I think video testimonials, I mean, and they're very engaging on a website. Like we're tracking this. We've got some websites that as much as 85% of their traffic is clicking on this video, or these series of videos, right? It's a little plugin that we use. So if you have questions about that, feel free to go to moveinmachine.com, schedule a call, try it out for free for a month, right? We're for the first time ever, we're doing free 30-day trials. One of our partners joked and said, well, you probably really only need to offer like a 90-minute trial. His was so quick and noticeable whenever we went live. But yeah, just like give us a call, go to the website, again, moveinmachine.com. And we would love to set this up for you. Try it out for free for 30 days. Play with the video tools. They're really cool. Our partners love them. And more importantly, the families love them, because it makes it really easy. Because guess what? These families want to share their story, because as humans, we also crave affirmation. And they want to share the story so that they feel like they made the right decision as well.
Yeah.
So you're not burdening most of these families that you're serving. They actually love to talk about it. So let them talk about it, make it easy for them to talk about it, and turn that into a video on your website, on your social media, all that good stuff. And you can really, really see an impact very, very quickly.
Yeah. And this, when you put a system like ours into place, it makes it really easy to, every month start gathering, at least 2 to 3 videos on repeat. So if you got people moving in, you can get a video of the person that moved in and their family members. And that's, so you've got 2 videos there from one person moving in. Not everyone's going to record a video. I get that. But this is how you get a system like this in place. And then every month you're getting new videos. You can use those on your website. You can use those in email marketing. You can put those on social media. I mean, this is, and it's so easy, and there's no extra work for you to do.
Well, I think what you just said is the key. Is it has to be part of your system. It has to be part of your standard operating procedures, that after 30 days, we're going to send a text message to the adult child of our newest resident and the resident themselves and say, hey, just wanted to see how things are going, checking in. When they reply with, oh man, we love it, everything's been great, it's even better than we thought it would be, those kind of comments, hey, awesome. Would you mind just making a quick little video? I can send you the link, or I can come by one day and we can do it together if you'd like. And they say, yeah, sure. They love it.
Yep.
And then just start stacking them up. Before you know it, you'll have 50, 75, 100 videos that you can use for all this stuff. But it has to be part of your system. And guess what else? What else I've seen? When they get on your website, guess what they do? They share the link to their video on your website. Yeah. Right? Because they feel like celebrities.
Check out my Hollywood
friends.
debut.
Hey, look at my debut. I'm on the website. So there's no reason to not do it. But the key is having a system, having a process in place. I'd love to help you with that. So if you have questions about our tools and how they work, again, moveinmachine.com, schedule a call with me and I'll walk you through it. We'll get you set up. You can use it for free for 30 days. And by the way, it's less than $100 a month after that per location. So this is a no-brainer for everything that it does to convert more of your website traffic into tours. So anyhow, by the way, another quick side note for those of you that are able to watch this on video. If you really want your videos to be effective, email Luke and have him email you a link to his shirt, and have the gentleman in the videos wear that shirt. It will absolutely get seen 55 times more.
Yeah, I mean, this shirt, I don't know why it was on sale for
Oh, I
$25
do.
at Under Armour.
I
It's
do.
it's a mystery to me, but it's a great casual Friday shirt. Um, but hey, I've had 3, 4 Zoom calls today, and it's been the topic of conversation from the get-go, so it's a great icebreaker.
Well, hey, I'll have to try it out. I'm in
Yeah,
like the, oh man, what was the old Apple CEO?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. I'm in my Steve Jobs black t-shirt look today. So
Yep,
I'm on the opposite spectrum of this. I'll have to give it a try on my next sales call, Luke.
sounds good. Thanks everybody for listening.